Hi, and welcome to the Google Draw Sea Adventure tutorial. Today, we are going to be walking you through step-by-step directions to completing the Sea Adventure. While we're doing this, you're also going to be learning about how to use a lot of the tools that Google Drawings has to offer. And I'm also going to mention that Google Drawings tools and Google Slides tools are very similar in their functionality. So anything you learn here would be transferable to what you would do in Google Slides. All right. So as we walk through each of these steps, all right, I'm going to walk you through how to complete the task. If you are wanting to skip ahead to a specific step, you can look in the description in YouTube and skip ahead to those times to get to that specific step. Okay? All right, but first step one, all right, we are going to change the background to a blue color like the ocean because this is a sea adventure. The background of a Google drawing is this checkerboard area, okay? The only way to change the background is to right click in this checkerboard area and then come down here to background. Right now, when you're here, you can see all of your colors that you normally have. Right now, our background is in transparent. That's why we can see the checkerboard. So if I changed it to white, it would change it to white and our checkerboard would go away. Okay. But for this, we want to do a blue. All right. So I have all my blues here. I can also play around with my gradients. So I could pick a gradient. I could also come down to custom and I could create my own gradient if I wanted to. But for this, I think that I would be fine just using one of the gradients that they have here already. Okay, so it looks kind of nice. So now that I've done that, I'm going to delete the step one box. All right, now when you delete a box, you want to make sure that you don't have a cursor. So see the little blinking cursor here? All right, if I tried to backspace right now, all it would do is delete the K. All right, I want to make sure that I'm clicking on the box. All right, so see how my pointer turns into a little cross, all right, and then I would click backspace, or I could right click. So if I was in a little cross, I could right click and then I could select delete, right? But I don't want to delete this one yet. I leave these little squiggles because again, we're under the ocean. So it kind of gives you this, feeling of movement. For step two, we're going to manipulate this word art. So we can insert word art by going to insert word art, right? But since our word art already exists, we're just going to edit it. So you edit word art by double clicking on it, and then you get this little dialog box. And then we're going to add our name. So I'm going to take out Google Draw, and I'm going to add my name. So I'm Miss Gross, and this is my sea adventure. Now I can put my title on 2 lines if I wanted to by holding down the shift button and then pressing enter. All right. If I just press enter, then it's going to create what I created in the dialog box. Now I can take this and I can drag it to the center using my little guidelines. I can also change the color. So if I wanted to play around with the colors here so I make something a little bit more interesting, I can totally go ahead. That might be a little too thick. So you can play around with it. You can also play around with, if I wanted it to be, it's kind of crazy, dots or, so you can do whatever you want, but I'm just going to keep it like that. And I'm going to delete this box and move my little starfish in just so that they're still anchoring my title here. Just makes it look nice. All right, so that's step 2. And now we're going to move on to step 3. Step 3 is asking you to use the curve tool to create a sea creature. So this creature you see here was created only using the curve tool. All right, so the curve tool is under your line tools. And what I like to do is I like to create in the margins so that I'm not creating on my screen and all of this stuff is getting interfered with. So what you want to do is you want to come to where it says select line and click the drop down, and we're looking for curve, not curve connector, curve. And when I click on that, it changes my pointer, and when I click, it creates an anchor. So every time I click and move, right, it creates a curve. That's why it's called the curve tool. So every time I click and move, click, move. Then when I bring my ends back together, now I've created a fillable shape that I can change the color of. Okay, so that's what you're trying to do. So let me delete this one, and now I want to try and create, something that looks similar to a fish or something. All right, so let's start with a little face. Maybe I'll make like a eel or something. All right, so just clicking every time I want to move. All right, click here, then come up and click here. All right, and then I bring them back together. I don't know, it could be something. Then I could take my curve tool and add additional features. So if I wanted to have a little side fin, if I double click, then it ends the shape. I don't have to bring the ends back together. And then I can take this, and drag it up here, and I can change the color of it if I wanted it to be slightly darker. All right, so you can play around with it. So that's that's step 3. All right, you don't have to be an artist, right? We're just learning about these tools. So I'm gonna delete my step 3 text box. I'm gonna move my little sea creature over here. All right, and maybe I'll make him slightly smaller so he fits into this area a little bit better. Maybe I will move him later when I move these little text boxes. But for now, what I'm going to do, I don't want to forget his little fin, which I also have to change the size of. Now I can group these objects together, right? So I hold down Control, and then I click. So again, I click on this one shape, hold down CTRL on my keyboard and click. And now this shape and this shape are connected, and then I can arrange them as a group. You can also use the shortcut Control G, right? And now these objects will move as one. Cool, right? So my next step is to create an eye. So here you see this eye that was created. So I'm going to do that for this as well. All right. So I'm going to come up here to where my shapes are. All right. So these are all your different shapes that you have access to. All right. And I'm going to get a circle. And again, I'm going to work over here. Now, my guy's not that big, so I don't need to make my eye that large, right? The other option is to make the eye really large and then to shrink it before I add it. So I can see the detail here and then make it smaller, all right? So I want to change the fill, change the border outline. Actually, I want to change the border outline on these too. Make them a little bit more nice, okay? So there, and then I'm going to copy this circle, because why make another circle if I don't have to? So Control C, Control V. I'll shrink this one down and nestle it in here. And then I want to change the color of this one. So I'll make this one black, and then I'll give this one like a gray border. All right, and now I have this eye. Now again, click Control on my keyboard, click again. You can also do this by dragging to select the shapes, but you want to make sure that if you drag too far and you select things that aren't your shapes, you want to click off of it and try again. All right, Control Alt G to group them together. And then before I move it, I want to shrink it. All right, and then I can move this over onto my guy. Oh man, he's crazy looking now. Then I'll take this and his body, which is already grouped together, and I'll group that as well. So now, theoretically, yep, he moves as one object. So there's my little fish guy. Fun. Okay, like I said, I'm just going to leave him here until the end when I can fix everything up. All right, so step 4 gets deleted. Done. Step 5, add a picture of a sea creature. The only place that we should be getting images from is from Insert, Image, Search the Web. All right, we never want to open another tab and do a Google image search. This is because through Google Drawings, through insert image in slides, insert image in docs, insert image in sheets. When you search this way for images, it gives you images that are for you to use, that have been licensed for you to be able to use. Not every picture that you find on Google is something that you're allowed to use because of copyright, okay? So I'm going to search for an image. So maybe I want a clownfish, right? But then I also want to make sure, and it says it here in the directions, I want to search for a PNG. All right. The other thing that you can do is you can search for transparent background. Okay. But let's see what kind of results I get with PNG. Now, obviously this one and this one, these have backgrounds. Okay. So maybe I would go for something like this. Now you can drag or you can select and then click insert. So I'll just drag it in. Now, if I drag it in and it has a background, then obviously I would delete that one, but it doesn't. So that's awesome. And he's great colors. So I'm just going to grab from the corner to keep him from getting distorted, right? If you grab from the sides here, images get a little distorted. I'm just going to leave him up here. And again, I'll be able to rearrange this once I get rid of some of my boxes. So I'll close this dialog box. And since I have my picture now, I can delete step 5. That was a quick one. All right, moving down here. For step 6, we're going to work on formatting images. All right, so any image that you click on, that's an image and not a shape. All right, you get this format options up here. So if I'm not on it, it disappears, right? So that's one of the things you want to keep in mind. You have to click on what you want to manipulate in order for the tools for that particular object or shape for it to come up. All right, so for the algae, all right, I'll click format options and I want to come down here because I'm creating a reflection. All right, so I click on this little checkbox and you'll see that my reflection shows up. Now, there are a couple of other ways that we can manipulate the reflections. All right, we can make it more or less transparent. We can move the distance away from the original object if we wanted to. We can also increase the size of the reflection so you see more of the plant. All right. So once you've gotten this to a point where you're satisfied, you can close this dialog box. All right. You can delete step 6. And then part of step 6 is to copy and paste these. So Control C, Control V, and then put them all along the bottom of this, of your drawing here, just to kind of make it look like there's little grasses. Maybe I'll do one more over here. Maybe make it a little, there we go. Hi, my little fish. All right, so that's step 6. For step 7, we're going to manipulate an image in a different way. All right. So for step 7, we're going to take this picture. This is a picture of orange. It's not a rectangle. Okay. That's a common misconception. How do I know? Because if it was a shape like these boxes are shapes, like this is a rounded rectangle. See, these are the tools I get. But when I click on an image, these are the tools I get. So that's how I can tell the difference. So for this, to manipulate it, we're going to crop it into a star. Now, a lot of students know this as the crop tool, all right? But if you use this crop tool, you can only crop in rectangles or squares. I want to crop this into a star. So what I do is I come over here to this little drop down where it says mask image, and now I can change this picture into any shape I want. So my stars are in my callouts. Right, so now you can see here that my shape or my image now is a star. Okay, so that's pretty cool. And then you can play around with the border of these, changing the color of them, changing the thickness of them, right? And then you can also manipulate these shapes by pulling on these. A lot of the shapes have these little orange or yellow diamonds in them. So if you pull on that, you see you can change the thickness. I tend to like these little chubby stars. And then once you've done that, you are done with step 7. All right. Maybe now you want to take a break and create some more grass for the bottom of your scene here. Right. Play around with it. All right. For step 8, we are going to reorder objects, okay? And really all I want to focus on right now is the reordering of the mermaid so that she sits in front of the clam. So see how when I drag her, she's hidden behind the clam? All right, so what I want to do is I want to grab my mermaid, all right, and then to reorder, okay, you click on the image, you right click or 2-finger click on your trackpad, all right, and then you come here to where it says order. Now, if you bring it forward or backward, you're moving it forward one or backward one, right? So think of images, shapes, and text boxes in Google Drawings and Google Slides as a stack. So every time I add a picture, it adds it to the stack. So the things I added first are in the back, and the things I added most recently are in the front, okay? So I can either move something forward one or backward one, or I can move something completely to the front or send it completely to the back. So in this case, I want to bring the mermaid to the front, okay? And then when I drag her over the clamshell, she should be sitting on top of it. Then you can drag the pearl over, all right? And you create like this cute little scene. Then what you want to do is select all of those images and you want to group them together. Right click, group. Okay, and then I can move this wherever I want, and I can delete that text box. And now my last step, step 9, is to recolor this jellyfish. All right, so again, if I'm going to format an image, I click on my image, I come to format options, and then another option that I have is to recolor. So not every image that you download can do this, but a lot of them can. So you'll see here that it's pretty cool, all the different colors that you have access to. So you can play around with which color you think would look the best with what you're trying to create in your little scene. All right. And then you can also just like move him around. All right. So that's step 9. And then we can delete this box and we can delete our finished box. And now we can take a second to manipulate our objects and make them look the way we want them to look. If I could just delete this text box, everything would be great. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to take this little fish and maybe move him down here and make this fish. And then you can also copy some of these things. Like if I wanted to make like a school of fish, I could do that as well. All right, so if I wanted to have a bunch of jellyfish or if I wanted to add more of these starfish, if I want to flip an image, so let's say like I want my clownfish here to be swimming the other way, I just grab the side and I pull it over itself, see, and then it'll flip it the other way. All right, and now we have our sea adventure, and that's it. So now you can download this as a JPEG or a PDF. If like this was a drawing you did for class, you could download it as a PDF to submit. You could download it as a picture and share it with friends or anybody really through Google Drive by getting your shareable link or by just sharing it as an image. So that's it. So this is the sea adventure. Remember in the description, you can skip ahead in the video to the various steps. So if you wanted to go back to a particular step and rewatch that portion of the video, you can click on those times in the description. I hope you have a great day. Happy drawing.